Good morning. This is Pastor Zach with the Goodland United Methodist Church with the morning devotion for Tuesday, October 17th. We continue looking at the parable of the prodigal son. In the gospel we hear he squandered his money on a life of debauchery. When he had spent it all, that the country experienced a severe famine. And now he began to feel the pinch, so he hired himself out to one of the local inhabitants who put him on his farm to feed the pigs. And he would willingly have filled himself with the husk of the pigs were eating, but no one would let him have them. Then he came to his senses and said, "How many of my father's hired men have all the food they want and more, and here I am dying of hunger? I will leave this place and go to my father and say, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer deserved to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired men.' So he left the place and went back to his father." In Henry Nouwen's reflection on this, he says the young man held and blessed by a father is poor, a very poor man. He left home with so much pride and money, determined to live his life far away from his father and his community. And he returns with nothing. His money, his health, his honor, his self-respect, his reputation, everything has been squandered. So what happened to the son in that distant country? Aside from all the material and physical consequences, what were the inner consequences of the son's leaving home? The sequence of events is quite predictable. The farther I run away from the place where God dwells, the less I'm able to hear the voice that calls me beloved. And the less I hear that voice, the more entangled I become in the manipulations and power games of the world. It goes something like this: I'm not so sure anymore that I have a safe home, and I observe other people who seem to be better off than I. I wonder how I can get to where they are. I try hard to please, to achieve success and be recognized. When I fail, I feel jealous or resentful of those others. When I succeed, I worry that others will be jealous or resentful of me. I become suspicious or defensive and increasingly afraid that I won't get what I so much deserve or will lose what I already have. Caught in this tangle of needs and wants, I am no longer know my own motivations. I feel victimized by my surroundings and distrustful of what others are doing or saying. When the younger son no longer is considered a human being by the people around him, he felt the profundity of his isolation, the deepest loneliness one can experience. He was truly lost. And it was in this complete lostness that brought him to his senses. He was shocked into the awareness of his utter alienation and suddenly understood that he had embarked on the road to death. He had become so disconnected from what gives life, family, friends, community, acquaintances, and even food, that he realized that death would be the natural next step. All at once he saw clearly the path he had chosen and where it would lead him. He understood his own death choice, and he knew that one more step in the direction he was going would take him to self-destruction. In that critical moment, what was it that allowed him to opt for life? It was a rediscovery of his deepest self, a reclaiming of his sonship under his father, who would greet him with open arms and hold him. We can experience the same thing in our own spiritual lives, running from God, getting farther and farther away. But knowing if we just claim our connection to God again, we'll be welcomed with open arms, embraced and blessed. Have a blessed day.